put all the guards on my kids' phones to keep them from looking at porn and stuff like that. But the over-sexualization of just women in general on Instagram models and all this stuff, it's a gateway.
It's a gateway.
It's a gateway.
So they say that if you spend 18 minutes a day for 1 year, 100 hours, you will become better at that than 95% of the population.
If something's free, then you're the product. Which just you get into the scroll and you just can't stop.
Yeah.
You literally cannot stop. You're waiting for something to pop up that gives you that dopamine hit. Oh, this is what I've been waiting for, and it never comes.
Being on Facebook is not spiritual warfare.
No.
Just because you see something politically or you see something that someone's going through, just because you hit dislike, that is not spiritual warfare.
That's 11.16 years of their life spent on their phone. My name is Mike, and I'm addicted to social media, to my phone.
You're listening to the Life in Action podcast, Faith, Finance, and Family. Here are your hosts, Mike and Philip.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Life in Action. This is Philip Baker.
And Michael Reese.
Michael Ruiz over there next to me. And man, it's good to be here today. Thank you for tuning in, catching this latest podcast.
Yeah.
I believe you're really going to enjoy it. I think we're going to talk about something that we're all extremely familiar with. And I guess it really begins with you, Mike. I know we had a conversation here recently, and you just really shared your heart with me concerning an epiphany, a realization, a revelation, a understanding that your eyes had been opened to the thought that phone had become a problem. And of course, we know it's become a problem all over the world. And what happened, brother?
Well, let me go back to the podcast we did with Gina Jones.
Yep.
So if you haven't heard that podcast, you got to go back and listen to that. It was an amazing podcast. But in that podcast, we asked her what her favorite book was, and she said it's that book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like a good podcast host, I went and read that book, and man, that book messed me up.
Okay.
It changed the way I thought about my phone in particular, a lot of areas of life, but today we'll just really talk about my thought process that changed surrounding my phone.
Okay.
And in that process, I realized I will be the first one to say it. I was addicted to my phone.
Okay.
Like I was realizing I can't go 5 minutes without that to pick my phone up and check and see. And it wasn't just social media.
Yeah.
It was text, emails, crypto,
stock,
just all that kind of
Twitter,
stuff. Yeah, just
weather.
Just the phone.
Weather.
The weather.
My God, I've got to know what the weather is.
Philip, when you're looking through old text messages to pick up a conversation you might have left,
right?
I'm going, dude, I got some issues.
Yeah.
Really. I'm the guy that had the suction cup thing on his windshield.
Yeah.
That your phone magnetizes and sticks to.
Sure.
So you'll never miss a text. You'll never miss.
Right.
You can watch YouTube on long hauls.
Yeah.
You can respond to text right there with your left hand while you're driving.
Yeah.
How horrible is that? So in this episode, we want to talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of this.
We're not going to be all negative.
No.
There are some incredible things about our phone and social media, but let's draw a line.
So you and I are living in the generation that's the hybrid. We grew up playing outside, drinking from the water hose. 3 o'clock was a big thing for us because we got to go in and watch cartoons.
Right.
But
be home by the lights are off.
That's
by
right.
the lights come on, street lights.
But we never had this technology. We are the generation that knew what boredom was. And then we've got this technology that happened in 2007. The iPhone was invented and launched into the world, or the Samsung, whatever you use. And then we are now the generation that has to learn how to balance all this stuff. And I know I was out of balance. And so in this episode, we just want to talk. And like Philip said, we're not wanting to come down on everybody about their phones or anything like that.
No, I think you and I are just trying to find a balance and trying to find a safe space. I don't like the idea of anything controlling me.
Yes.
But I think there have been times where the phone controls us all.
Yep.
And I'd like to move to a place more and more that I'm in control of it.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest. Here a while back, I really got disgusted with myself. I was driving and I pulled up to a red light.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody listening to this podcast probably knows what I'm fixing to say.
Yep.
I pulled up to a red light and I grabbed my phone.
Yep.
And I was like, what in the heck are you doing? I can't even pull up to a red light anymore and not grab my phone. And I was disgusted with myself. That's where that I'd done that. And so that doesn't happen anymore, but
You're way better than me because I was checking my phone while I was driving. I was doing Oprah would be so mad at me because I was texting and driving. Why can't that response wait? Why can't that reply wait? Why can't
absolutely
that thought wait? I was like, oh, I have a thought. I need to text this person. Let me text them right now while I'm driving or while I'm at this red light. Or let's break it down and talk about the pros and cons. I guess we'll start with the pros.
okay.
Let's start with the pros of social media and the phones and all this stuff.
Yeah, I tell you what, for me, when I look at my phone and when I think of the benefit, I think the first thing for me comes down to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an evangelist. Everybody knows that. I'm in over 50 churches a year. I've been doing that for over 20 years, and I am relationship rich.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that one day. I have some of the greatest friends in the world that are in America and other nations.
Yep.
And the ability and the desire to be a good steward over these kingdom relationships is really important to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm so grateful for the people that God's placed in my life. And so to be able to reach out to friends, reach out to you, reach out to Pastor Lubo in Bulgaria, and just pastors throughout America, whether it's reaching out through just giving them a call. Sometimes I'll text these guys and just say, hey, I love you. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want nothing. Don't need nothing.
Yeah.
Just want to tell you I love you, man. Appreciate you. FaceTime, Facebook Messenger, just to be able to be a good steward over these kingdom relationships that God has blessed me with is just really important to me. And just so everybody knows, one of the ways that I see myself is I believe I'm a Barnabas. That's one of my callings, is to be a Barnabas. And what that means is an encourager. And there's a lot of pastors out there that, man, they live in the trenches. They're going through it day in and day out. I got a lot of friends of mine who live in the trenches. They're going through a lot. And, man, I see me as a Barnabas in those relationships. And I like to encourage people and be there for them, not just when things are going great.
Yeah.
But I got some friends of mine that are going through some stuff right now that's tough. And I want to be a friend. I want to be a Barnabas that's there for people when times are hard. And without that phone, it'd be a lot harder to do that.
100%. For me, when I think of the positives of the phones and the social, now you got to understand, a few weeks ago, I was like looking up flip phones because I was like, I got to go to a flip phone because apparently I need to so limit myself on technology because I'm just, I guess I'm an extremist. That's what I do. I either go one way or the other, and finally I'll find a balance somewhere. But so I decided, you know what? I don't need a flip phone. I watched a few YouTube videos on people who went to flip phones for a month and their experiences. It's quite comical. You should watch it. But everybody's like, oh, I'm so glad to have my iPhone back. But everybody was talking about how they became so creative and had so much more time. And it was just like, and I wanted that. I really wanted that. I was like, I really want to access the creativity that I don't operate in anymore. I want to be able to control my time. And that's the biggest thing, is being able to control your time.
Okay.
One of the biggest pros, though, is the educational factor of what is on our phones. The technology has brought us YouTube. It has brought us all of these things that Elon Musk said in March of 2021 on X. He said, you can basically learn anything on YouTube/Reddit. That was his post. And which I totally agree with. I'm all about, if you want to learn how to do something, go to YouTube and you can learn how to do it.
Yeah,
It's
anything.
any life hack, anything.
Yeah.
It's almost to the point where it's spurred a huge debate about whether you have to go to college anymore because you just learn it on YouTube. And that's a whole other podcast. But in that positivity, though,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to speak for myself, is that consuming that information, it allows us to change. But if you're in the matrix of the scrolling and amazing life hacks that will change your life, that's great. But are we doing them? We're not doing them or I'm not doing them because I'm scrolling on to the next video. And I'm so trapped in that death scroll of just scrolling that I'm not able to take advantage of that amazing education that I just saw on that 30-second video
Right.
of how to do this, how to do that, how to become this, how to become that. Great. That's a great point. But I'm not taking advantage of it because I'm just trapped in the scroll. Philip, I would wake up on a Saturday morning and the first thing I would do is reach for my phone, which was right next to my bed. And I would go and look at all the alerts I had, everything. And then I'm off to the races.
But don't you think, and hey, I've done it. I do it. I'm not saying I do it every morning, but I do it mornings. Don't you think we're reaching for our phone now because it wakes us up? It is a hack to go from sleepy to awake. We grab that phone and you start strolling, you start looking at some stuff, and then all of a sudden you're awake.
I think
Not that's good. I'm not saying that's good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what we're maybe using it for because you get that dopamine hit.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If I'm a smoker and I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is go smoke a cigarette. And that's really to be honest, I had to be honest with myself, is you're addicted to the dopamine hit because if I get on my phone and the first thing I do is I look at my emails and then I check Instagram and then I check Facebook and then I check, even in creating this podcast, you do all this work to create a reel, to create a podcast, and then you want to go out and see who's listening, who's approved, who's liked, who's done this, you're looking for the constant validation from somebody.
Ooh.
Not that you need it, but it's, man, we did all this work. We want to see that people are responding, and you get addicted to that, and it does give you a dopamine hit.
Yep.
And
then, of course, while you're checking that, you see a video.
Yeah.
And then it's boom, and then 3 videos, 5 videos, 10
Yep.
videos. Just a quick story. Years ago, over 20 years ago, I'm sure someone would be able to figure this out, but the Halo game came out.
yeah,
And a friend of mine gave it to me, and it was, I think, Halo 1, and Halo 1 would work in a Mac. So I had one of the very first Macs,
Yeah.
right? So he gives me the Halo game. I had never played a video game like that as far as a computer. Of course, I remember the arcades back in the early 80s when we would walk in and there's Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Defender, all of them. And so I start playing it, and the graphics were incredible. The music was incredible. I don't know. I've never been able to do one of the buttons like the kids today, PlayStation, all that. But this was just your fingers and the mouse, and it was easy. And so, trust me, I'm getting somewhere. Y'all just hold on. And so I would go play it. I would blink, and an hour or 2 hours would go by.
Oh, yeah.
It was 2 hours would go by. I don't even know where it went. And I wound up, I was going to finish it. I wanted to get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to the end of that, I said, first, that never again.
yeah,
Never again, because I don't know how many hours it took. And I would say to myself, I'm just going to go maybe 15, 20 minutes, 2 hours later.
yeah.
Never again. The phone is like that.
It is.
You get on there for good intention,
Yeah.
and then the next thing, 10 minutes have gone by, and you've just watched a bunch of nonsense.
I'm trying to imagine you playing Halo. I would love to see that.
People are listening to this podcast right there, and they're going, "Amen, y'all preach it." Yeah, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Go ahead.
But going back to my Saturday morning,
Yep.
and exactly what you're saying, I wake up at 7 o'clock, I grab my phone, and then the next thing I know, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still scrolling on Reels. And I was like, what have I done? I just blew my whole morning when it's gone. It's gone. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, all right, I'm done with the phone. And then later on that afternoon, you're bored. So you're back on the phone.
Back on it again.
So that's my personal real story. When they created TikTok, I think that's when the game changed, because they realized, hey, a short video is more consumable and more addictive for people because our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. A shorter video is what everybody's starting to go to. So TikTok started it, and then Instagram did Reels.
And it
then,
makes you wonder, is our attention span shorter and they took advantage of it, or did they make our attention span
They made our attention span. I guarantee you they made our probably. That's what I was stuck on, was the Reels. YouTube Reels was my drug of choice.
And then
The algorithm.
that whatever
knows-
you like, whatever you laugh at, whatever you think is
Oh, yeah.
interesting. Like, for instance, the other day, I love like Michael Jordan stories.
Yeah.
These ex-athletes get on, they start talking about Michael Jordan stories. You watch 2 Michael Jordan stories, and the next thing, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan stories are flooding that stream.
Well, not even that. Just our conversation right now. When you get off of this podcast, you pick up your phone, and I'm sure Michael Jordan stuff will be popping up on your right. The phones are listening to us. They really are.
But here's the other side of it. Have you ever heard of the 100-hour rule?
Mm-mm.
100-hour rule. So they say that if you spend 18 minutes a day for 1 year, 100 hours,
Yeah.
18 minutes a day, studying anything, researching anything, doing anything, 18 minutes a day, that's 100 hours for 1 year, you will become better at that than 95% of the population.
Oh, wow.
So you're just 18 minutes a day away from really being a 5% expert.
Wow.
That phone gives you the ability to do that
Yep.
in just about any field you can imagine, whether it's learning a language, learning a skill, learning a technique, learning a blank. Just fill in the blank. You can spend 18 minutes a day on anything, and in 1 year, you're an expert. But that's the potential of this amazing piece of technology we have in our hand. But sadly, we're an expert on the career of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And what good is that really doing us? Man, there's 2 ditches here.
It is.
And
It's,
unfortunately, I think most people are in the wrong ditch.
yeah. They made a movie in 2000 called The Social Dilemma. And if you haven't seen that movie, it's worth a watch. But it talks about how do we handle this social media? How do we handle this whole thing? So we're talking about the pros here. We're already slipping into
They're bouncing back and forth.
But
That's okay.
another pro for me was that because of it, you talked about relationships. I found my biological family.
That's right.
Yeah, through Facebook. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I
Never
used-
would have happened.
No, I used Ancestry, DNA to find it. And then through Facebook is where I actually made the connection and found them. And boom, it was done so easily, because would have never done that if there was no Facebook. And so that's a big positive. that
I've got the
happened for me.
Baker lineage tracked down all the way back to the late 1800s.
Mhm.
And so that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
The technology in that, and whether it's an iPad or an iPhone or whatever, those apps that you can find out where you came from that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. One of the elephants in the room for me is when it comes down to news, because I don't know, you're out there listening to this podcast. When it comes to network news, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and I don't know if I trust any of it, because right now propaganda
Mhm.
is massive on the left and on the right.
Yeah.
And it's all about money. What's that old expression? Left wing, right wing, same bird. Sometimes I think
love that.
sometimes I think the media dollar is going to the same place on the right and on the left.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Right.
one company that's controlling RC and Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I know those are 2 different companies, but that's what it feels like,
Mhm.
is one company all the dollars are going to the same company, left wing, right wing. And the manipulation of that is incredible. And so for me to be able to get on X and not that there's no propaganda on X, because of course we know we are, but sometimes you can see tweets that are not from news organizations, they're from people, and the video is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to, I trust that more than I trust what's being written on network television. And there's things that are happening all over the world that we would never know.
Mm-hmm.
You would never see video of. It would never be reported. Things that are going on in China and India and Africa and all over the world that we would never know of if it wasn't for social media and that phone.
And social media, though, their algorithms are, if you're a right-wing conservative, they're going to keep feeding you more right-wing conservative stuff. If you're a left-wing liberal, they're going to feed you. The algorithm knows what you, like you said before, they know what you want, and they're going to give it to you because they want you to stay on it.
Yeah.
They want you to. So I know our pros almost sounded like cons, but do you have any more pros as far as?
I think, you and I have been on this journey of health for a while, and we're going to be doing a podcast soon on the things that we've been doing and the results we've been seeing. But about a year and a half, we went into this. Doctor was wanting to put me on a statin, and I started doing all the research on that.
Yeah.
And to be able to go over to Twitter and put in statins and inflammation and that whole world, and begin to read from people all over the world and their experiences, and then studies, and because you're only going to get one side from doctors, you're only going to get one side from Google, you're only going to get one side, and go down that rabbit hole. And I was able help from a doctor that's outside of the whole big pharma world, and really stumbled across inflammation and how important that word is to us in our body, and to be able to begin to study that and learn things about seed oils and gluten and sugar and processed foods, and getting over into things like carnivore and keto. And
every week we are giving away a free copy of Philip Baker's book on our Instagram. All you have to do to enter is follow our page. Head over to life_in_action on Instagram, give us a follow, and you are entered. Easy as that. Now, back to the show.
And it's dramatically changed our diet. And I don't think that world, we would have been able to learn any of that without social media, phone, reels, to begin to get into those reels about the dangers of seed oils and energy drinks and sugar and processed foods and gluten, and the difference between gluten in America and gluten in Europe. If you're sitting here listening to this, I go over to Bulgaria, I eat more over there than I eat here, and I lose weight.
Yeah.
You go over to Italy and you're eating pasta and you feel great. You eat pasta over here and you feel horrible.
Yeah.
And so to be able to research that and to begin to go down that rabbit hole and to learn what all that's about and why and what and where and when, once again, not possible without this phone.
It's the knowledge. It's obtaining knowledge quicker, and that's the convenience of the phones. Like all the stuff that you're talking about, you can read it in a book. It's in the book, but somebody else read that book and now made a video about it, and now they're giving you that information quicker, faster, more efficiently. Yeah. And so we're learning quicker, faster, more efficiently, but at what cost? And that's what we have to ask ourselves is, are we balanced enough to consume this, but then be able to walk away and say, all right, I'm going to learn about the health stuff, but I'm going to pass on the other stuff that's not benefiting my life. And it's a
nonsense.
It's the nonsense, a slippery slope. Because I can get addicted to life hacks just as much as I can anything else. Life hacks are great, but if I'm not taking a life hack and doing something with it, it's just another form of entertainment. Keep on scrolling.
Right. And then, of course, it's not enough to laugh at something. It's
Yeah.
not enough.
No.
You got to send it.
You got to send it with
You
everybody.
gotta share it.
How many videos have I sent you in my lifetime?
Hey, it's not funny unless other people are laughing with you.
Yeah.
So there's that whole thing. So not only are you watching stuff that you found, you're having to watch all the stuff. I got 3 daughters, and they're always sending
Yeah.
me videos to watch. And
Yeah.
they're not life hack stuff.
No.
They're just mindless, funny, cute stuff.
If you remember when the iPhone first came out and how difficult it was to share something, but
Yeah.
now it's just so easy to share. It's like almost like they've made it shareable and made it just like, hey, this is made to share it,
Mhm.
send it, spread it.
Yeah. Let's get into what have been the negatives that have come to the surface since you started down this path of really breaking that addiction. And
Yeah. So what I did personally was the first thing I did was I got rid of social media. I deleted it off my phone.
Okay.
I still have it on my iPad, but for me to get on Instagram and look at something or make a post, I got to get on my iPad. It's not as sexy and not as good looking.
convenient.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good on your iPad. Even the app looks rough on an iPad compared to a phone.
Okay.
But so I had to do that, and so that really broke me from going to my phone all the time for because it took about 2 days actually
Right.
for me to. As far as the cons is, you're in a room and everybody's on their phones and you're not, and it's okay. And now you're having these thoughts like, am I missing out on something? Everybody's talking and chatting or doing whatever. But the positives outweigh the negatives. Let me say that in it. But
We hope so.
some of the cons, though, of the actual phones or the actual social media, and I've already mentioned one, was the doom. We call it doom scrolling. It's just you get into the scroll and you just can't stop.
Yeah.
You literally cannot stop. You're waiting for something to pop up that gives you that dopamine hit, that just gives you that, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. And it never comes. It's just,
Yeah.
it's never there. They call it the doom scroll. And I've already talked a little bit about that, but to me, that's like the first negative, is that we're wasting so much time
Yeah.
that we could be doing other things.
One of the things that I've shared in churches is that when we were growing up, let's just say anybody that was growing up as kids, teenagers, young adults, before the iPhone, before social media, think about this for a second. The only thing you knew about what was going on in the lives of people
Mm-hmm.
were maybe your family, a few of your friends, maybe you knew what was going on in their family,
Yeah.
and then maybe some people in the church.
Yeah.
That was it.
Mhm.
You just really didn't know what was going on in the lives of people. But now we know what's going on with everybody.
Yeah.
All these people that some of them are really good friends, and then you got friends, and then you got acquaintances, and then we all know we got people on social media. We don't know who we don't know who they are.
Yeah. That's
That we just friended them, or they friended us, or whatever, and they come up on our news. They come up on our feed, and hey, please pray for me. This is what's going on. My aunt, my daddy, my mama, my sister, my son, my daughter, my pastor. It's this avalanche stuff,
yeah.
and we're not meant to carry all that.
Oh, that's good.
We are not Jesus.
Yeah.
We are not omnipresent. We are not omniscient. We are not omnipotent. We are not meant to carry all of the problems and the challenges and the tests and the storms of the world. And listen, I believe in being compassionate. I believe in that. But you can't find compassion for the mess that everyone is in.
Right.
And once again, it goes back to, who are you called to be compassionate for? Who are you called to pray for? Who are you called to carry your weight? And I would hope it would be, hey, your family,
Yeah.
your friends, your church family. And so I think sometimes we carry so much that we wind up carrying nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I hope that makes sense.
It does, yes.
That you carry so much that you wind up carrying nothing. And when I make this statement in churches, I always get a good reaction, whether it's a nervous giggle or an ooh or an amen. But being on Facebook is not spiritual warfare.
No.
Just because you see something politically or you see something that someone's going through, just because you hit or dislike, that is not spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
We're just seeing it.
Yeah.
And
But you're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly that everybody's putting out there. And here's the other thing too, Philip, is 90% of the time what people put on social media is not even real. Oh, look at our happy marriage or happy family or happy this or happy that. And it's not real.
Absolutely.
Or people are going on there saying things that they shouldn't even say. It's that's your personal business. Why are you sharing that with people? Keep that to yourself. Like, before the phones, nobody would have done that. Nobody would have gone on the street and said, "Oh, I'm going through this hard time in my marriage or with my kid or with this or that." Nobody would say that stuff. It's you handle that within your family. You're only asking for opinions. And I've seen these opinions and these people get on there and destroy businesses,
Right.
destroy people just because they all
Or
want to.
somebody puts the little praying hands emoji.
That's prayer nowadays. Most of the time.
Prayer.
That's prayer. Pray
Oh,
for me.
That's prayer.
Pray your hands. Do you actually stop and pray? Very few times I actually stop and pray for that person, but number of times it's praying hands.
Praying
You're right.
hands.
You're 100% right.
It's
Yeah.
once again, social media is not spiritual warfare. You can carry so much weight that you're not even carrying any weight.
Our generation, and this kind of goes into the next thing that I've seen is our generation got this technology, this social technology. I call it anti-social media now, but it's because there's what's social about it. And like you said, 90% of the people aren't even your friends, but people are getting on there, and we didn't know how to handle our generation, how to handle this, being able to contact everybody. And I know people that left their spouses because they found their old boyfriends on Facebook or old girlfriends on Facebook. And then next thing, they're divorced because we're talking about the negatives now. That was a hot coal that they weren't ready to handle. And our generation had this put on us, and the cool thing to do is everybody get a Facebook, and we did that. We didn't want to be left out, but there was a danger that a lot of people didn't foresee. And I think this next generation, they're doing a better job of handling that. They're a little wiser, a little smarter than us. But it is kind of funny that this next generation is always running away from what we are. Like we got on like the kids got on Facebook, we got on Facebook. They got off of Facebook, they went to Instagram. We all went to Instagram because that's where all the kids were going. And then they got off Instagram and went to Snapchat. We got to figure out where our kids are doing, so we go into Snapchat. We're not on Snapchat anymore. We're on TikTok.
Right.
Now parents got to go. What does it end? We got to go to TikTok, and so
then they have private.
Then they have. Come on,
Snapchat, private Snapchat, private Instagram,
private
TikTok.
Yeah.
So you get to see this one, but you ain't seeing that.
You ain't seeing that one. It's that happened to her. Where I didn't see that. Oh, it's on their private. Oh, I don't want
the whole kids thing with social media. That's a whole.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. And then and then the whole thing about pornography is a whole nother issue with this.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in the 6th grade, we found a Playboy magazine. I don't know if it's a Playboy magazine. It was one of those magazines under a bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had one of those experiences
under a bridge.
Yeah.
And
mine was out in the woods.
And I still remember that. And it was like, I never seen anything like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have in your hand thousands, millions of content, and whether it's hardcore, softcore, whatever, it's all right there. That's a whole nother aspect of this that's just dangerous to, and that's not an age group that's dangerous to. That's just mankind in general.
That it used to be a guy thing, but now it's women, it's guys, women, girls. They're all being affected by pornography. And the ramifications of that we haven't even seen yet, because this next generation, they're getting married and they're going to have to deal with that in their marriage. And it's not real. It's not the way things happen. That's all that stuff is fantasy. It's all fictitious, and it's all just designed to destroy marriage.
Right.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
But we don't know. I know we know what is going to happen, but there's a whole generation out there that think it's. I was listening to a podcast one time, and they touched on that, and they called it. There was a psychologist on there, and they were talking about. They said, "Oh, porn, entertainment, nothing more. It's just entertainment. If that's the entertainment you're consuming, then your life is probably not headed in the right direction."
We're at a place now where you have the Andrew Huberman podcast, and you've got some different ones. And these are people that are approaching subjects not from a Christian moral standpoint.
Uh-huh.
All right. They're talking about pornography. They're talking about alcohol. They're talking about phones and the dopamine. And they're coming at it straight from a scientific, neurological standpoint. And they're all coming out and saying, this isn't the church.
Yeah.
This isn't fivefold ministry. This isn't, we're not talking Bible here,
Yeah.
which that should be enough, but we're not talking about that.
Right.
We're talking about people who know the brain,
Right.
and they're saying, no.
Yeah.
Alcohol, no. Marijuana, no.
Yeah.
Pornography, no.
Yeah.
Dopamine, phone. You better make sure you're in control of it and it's not controlling you. This is the scientific world. These are people that don't know God from anything. And boy, what a wake-up call.
Yeah. And really, honestly, I'm going to put all the guards on my kids' phones to keep them from looking at porn and stuff like that. But the over-sexualization of just women in general on Instagram models and all this stuff, it's a gateway.
It's a gateway.
It's a gateway. It's getting them
Absolutely.
hooked on. just
After a
that.
while, they just don't get the job done, and you got to have more.
You got to have more. I did some math the other day,
Okay.
and I was thinking about all of this stuff. So I was curious. I was like, what is the average time that we spend on our phone? And so I went and Googled it or did whatever, asked ChatGPT, and it said that it was 4 hours a day.
Okay.
So I started doing the math. I was like, okay, so most kids are getting their phones at probably 11, 12. But I said, let's say you hold out long enough and you give your kid a phone at 13. So if your child's 13 years old and they live to 80, okay, that means they're living, 67 years of their life.
This isn't going to be good. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I did the math at 67 years because we know that this generation is going to have something in their hand for the next rest of their life. It's just a fact of life. So let's say this 67 years that they're on the earth. Let's say that the 80 years that they're on the earth. Now they've got this phone in their hand for 67 years of it. I did the math. That's 97,820 hours of their life. At 4 hours a day, they're on their phones. That's 11.16 years of their life spent on a phone. Teens actually spend an average of 7 to 9 hours a day. So that's almost double of their time on their phone. Now, that's not counting television.
Yeah.
That's not counting video games. That's just on our phone. You can literally go to your screen time on your phone and you can see what your average time is.
Absolutely.
I know mine was probably about 5-6 hours a day is what my screen time was saying I was on my phone.
Wow.
And that's math there. That's just
math.
That's just taking the average of it. And it's eye-opening when you start talking years of your life that you could have been doing. You could have been making relationships with people. You could have been reading. You could have been studying. You could have been, you literally can change your financial future by wasting it or by using it.
Yeah, 18 minutes a day.
You can literally change a generation you can literally change your status in the social arena by wasting it or using it.
Yeah. Life in action. We always keep things centered around faith, finances, and family.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be appropriate to ask this question to ourselves and then to everyone who's listening has your phone, has social media has it been a detriment to your relationship with God?
Yeah.
And for instance, when I got into my 40s, my eyesight, you started needing reading glasses, that type of thing. And it was so much easier when I could have a Bible app.
Yeah.
And LB Bible, and make the font bigger, get the font exactly the way I like it.
Yeah.
Put the color behind it just the way I like it, that it's
Yeah.
pleasing to my eye. And I can even read the word, and I like to be able to scroll. I like to where you can hit the button and the Bible app, it scrolls and it keeps moving.
Yeah.
It keeps you, but the harm is you're reading the Bible on the iPad
Yeah.
or on your phone, and so you're one click away from clicking off
Yep.
and going over to check something, right? And then if you're a Christian, I bet you're going to exactly know what I'm talking about, that you set aside time to either read the word or to pray. And it's amazing how your brain starts reminding you of all the things you've got to do today.
Oh, yeah.
You start going, oh, I need to, oh, don't forget to, and then when all of a sudden your mind starts to swirl with all the things you need to get done, and it's fighting against that time in prayer, that time in the word, and next thing you're trying to pray and you're looking at your phone. You're trying to read the word and you're looking at your phone. There's this place where just about when I'm in town, every day I go to, and it's just a place outside, and I just walk. I'll walk and pray. And you want your kids to be able to get in touch with you. You want your wife to be able to get in touch with you. So you put your phone in your back pocket. About a year and a half ago, I was in a church, and there was a real sweet couple that were just praying. They was just praying over me, real sweet. And God really gave this lady a word. And as she was praying, she mentions God's going to give you an airplane mode. And I never forgot the airplane mode. And so I really grabbed hold of that word.
Yeah.
And there are just times during the day, especially when I go to this place and pray, that the phone gets put in airplane mode and I leave it in the car.
Yeah.
And the reason I put it on airplane mode is because you can keep it in your car, but if it's on, your watch will go off.
Yeah.
And you're looking down at your watch to see, all right, who's texting me?
Yep.
Because I get a lot of texts, a lot of relationships, and I love them all. But the phone goes on airplane mode. It gets kept in the car. And you know what? The world will be okay. Philip Baker will be okay. PBM will be okay if I don't look at my phone, if I don't answer a text, if I don't answer a phone call for 30, 45 or an hour. And
because there was a day when we didn't have phones.
oh, Lord.
What happened? Oh, somebody had to go find you.
Airplane mode. I think that's a question that every person really needs to ask themselves, is how much of an impact is the phone not only made in your relationships that are in your life, your husband, your wife, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, how much of it has impacted your relationship with God?
Yeah.
And then, is that phone bringing out the best in you,
Yeah.
or is it bringing out the worst in you?
One of the saddest things that it just broke my heart is when I went to a playground one time and I saw little kids playing in the playground, and all the moms were on their phones. And I was thinking, not to judge or anything, but I thought, man, those are some of the best years. And you're with I remember my mom taking me to the park, and she would play with me. But it's, gosh, just, you're not getting it back. And I feel, I'm not like angry. I feel sad. I feel sad for that mom, because and I know they don't see that, and they don't, and you might be listening to this going, oh, that's stupid. I don't agree with that, but it's different. I know. And I sound like an old man, like back in my day, we didn't have, but it's just, yeah. The last thing I want to make a point about is that I heard this statement. My friend Israel said it. He said, if something's free, then you're the product. And when it comes to this technology, all these apps and stuff, it's free.
Yeah, that's free.
That means we're the product. How are these social media companies making money? They sell ads. And how do they sell ads? They've got to have eyeballs to sell ads. They got to have viewers so they can charge these companies money. We're the product.
Yeah.
Because it's free. And
Yeah.
so just think about that next time you're scrolling is they are using me right now. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, all these people they're using me to sell somebody else. I'm being sold to them. And that's eye-opening when you start looking at it that way is like,
Product.
you are the product. If something's free for you, then you are the product, my friend.
Oh, God
Yeah.
help us all.
They are designing our phones to keep us engaged as much as possible. That's why there's notifications. That's why there's alerts. That's why there's this, there's that. If you're not on Facebook for a while, you get that text that says, hey, your friend just posted this. Why randomly that friend? They're just trying to get you back engaged. Come back. They know everything, what you've been looking at, everything you've looked
Listening
at.
to you.
Yeah.
They're listening to us right now.
So our phones are totally designed to keep us on our phones.
Yeah.
They need our attention.
And
Our
then,
attention
Mike,
span.
I don't even listen. When you think about how fast and far technology has come now with the introduction to AI,
Oh, yeah.
and how, from what I'm understanding, Apple is wanting to incorporate AI into Siri. AI is being incorporated into Facebook. AI is going to be incorporated into everything.
AI is already incorporated into Facebook because I remember seeing it on top of their
the
page. You
little
got a little
top of
AI.
the
Yeah.
deal. So, you know, they're just sticking their toe into that water right now. But it's going to grow. It's going to accelerate exponentially.
Yeah.
We're in for quite a journey
Yep.
when it comes to technology. It's not going anywhere. But I would just, if you've listened to this podcast, I think Mike and I are determined in our heart, we want to use it. We don't want it to use us.
Yeah. And I want to end this podcast with, I know we did the pros and cons, but I also want to talk about some of the things that you can do, practical things
All right.
that you can do. If you're like, man, that's me. I know I need to limit this stuff. I really want to get out of the matrix. That's what I call it. I felt like I was in the matrix. Now I'm out of the matrix and I'm like, oh my God. Because the benefits of it have been more free time. I used to never read, Philip, because I just didn't have time to read. I had time. It was just put somewhere else.
Yeah.
So now I have all this time. I'm reading books like crazy and I'm journaling now. I'm writing.
Okay.
I never used to write anymore. And I remember hearing you talk about how much you love writing. And I'm like, that sounds fun. And I have something to put down on paper and my thoughts. And my goal is maybe one day my kids will find this journal in a dusty chest up in some attic or something.
Right.
And they'll read the wisdom of their dad.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So I'm writing every day. And I'm just really enjoying the biggest benefit of it all is the time that used to be my screen time is now God time.
Yeah.
And I'm before I touch my phone in the morning, before I even look at it, I'm spending time with God and it's changing my life. And I don't even touch my phone until I've given God what he deserves that morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll go turn it on. And some of the practical things that I've done to help me do these things
Okay.
is, like I said, I took all the apps off my phone. Any social media app is off my
Gotcha.
phone. I got rid of my iWatch, my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
I wore it every day. I love my Apple Watch. It's a great piece of technology, but it was the notifications on it for me. They're always just drawing me in. I could not have a conversation with you or anybody else without constantly checking my phone. And how rude is that? Or how, it's, and I didn't like that anymore. And so that was something I did. A lot of people are going to grayscale. I know you tried that or you did that, and I haven't done it yet, but a lot of people are like, oh, go to grayscale. It reduces the dopamine hits and all this stuff.
It's just boring.
It's boring. It's okay to be bored. It's okay to be bored.
Be bored. You look and there's no color.
Man, in boredom is creativity. In boredom is your self-thoughts. I was at the chiropractor yesterday and the guy was working on my stuff and we were talking about this and I said, we don't like boredom. We've eliminated boredom.
Scared of it.
We're scared of it. Why? And he goes, well, I guess because then we'll have to think about our life and we'll have to engage in ourselves. And I said, or we might have to hear from God.
Yeah.
Some of us don't want to hear from God. And so, and those are the small things that I've done that have made a huge difference. And literally, I went from hours and hours a day on social media. Now I'm like maybe 3 minutes a day.
Yeah.
It's really good. I really like it. And I know I need to find balance in it, but it's just been very freeing.
Yeah.
So not a conversation everybody likes to have.
You've got yourself down to Mike's Car Wash
Yeah.
and those posts, but you've got somebody doing that for you. And then I've got all the life in action, reels and
Yeah.
the podcast, Spotify.
I'm committed to Life in Action, to that Instagram. And then Mike's Car Wash, my business, I've just this week, I said, hey, let's hand that over to somebody totally. And I had 4 or 5 Instagram pages. I got rid of all of them except for Life in Action.
Okay.
And I'm just like, man, that'll be and I may bring back one of them just to have, but I had to break the addiction
Yeah.
and then I can just think clearly and then manage it and be able to do that. I got rid of that suction cup thing off my windshield. I threw that away.
Yeah.
I was going to bring it to show it to you, but you've seen it before. I got rid of that thing.
Yeah.
Now I drive the speed limit. A few other things that have helped me is like when I go out and eat, I'll just leave my phone in the car. And that way I don't even have to worry about it. If I miss a phone call, I mean, it's not like I'm gone for hours and hours. It's just a few minutes. The other thing I do is like no cell Sunday, which is where I just basically leave my phone at home and I go to church. And then when I get back, I just leave it on, do not disturb. And I literally try to not touch my phone all Sunday and just enjoy the day, enjoy it, relax, just enjoy the family, just enjoy my time. It's really been freeing. So just a few simple changes and you can start taking control of your life.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we started this off with was I want control of my time. I don't want Apple to control my time. I don't want Mark Zuckerberg to control my time. I want to control my own time.
Wow. Hey, I think it's been a great podcast. I think
has.
we've given people a lot to think about. And at the same time, it's all the stuff that we need to think about even more.
Yeah.
And so this has been good.
It's been a really good one, man. I had to be really transparent on this one just to say, hey, my name is Mike and I'm addicted to social media, to my phone.
Yeah.
But man, I'm telling you, when you break it off, it feels so good.
Awesome.
It's awesome. So
What's been good? Tell them how they can find us and where, what, when, how, who.
yeah. So go to our social media.
Yeah.
Life_in_action. And you can find us there. And man, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And so if you go to the bottom of this podcast, you can see a little question and answer thing. We'll have a question there. Basically, what did you think about this podcast?
Yep.
Put your thoughts down there. We really I really want to hear what you have to say about it. Also, if you could follow the podcast, that would mean the world to me and Philip. We see the analytics on this thing, and 40% of the people that listen to this podcast follow. But we would love if you would help us get that up to 50, 60%.
Yeah.
That would be awesome by the end of the year.
Whatever platform you like, Apple, Google, Spotify.
Yep, Amazon Music, it's all there.
It's all there.
So, cool. Great
All
show,
right.
man. All right, thank you.
Hey, we'll see you guys next time.
All right, later.
Follow our podcast for more great episodes and check us out on Instagram at lifein_action. Thank you for listening and live your life in action.